I find it a little strange that the supposed founder of dispensational theology, John Nelson Darby, would actually remove 3 of the 4 references to the word dispensation from the King James Bible. See, John Nelson Darby wrote his own version of the Bible because he couldn't handle the truth of the King James Bible. But if you look it up in the King James Bible, the word dispensation appears in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 17, Ephesians chapter 1, verse 10, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 2, and Colossians chapter 1, verse 25. All 4 places the King James Bible says dispensation. So the word dispensation is a Bible word. All right? But Darby comes along in his 1830 thing, and he changes. He keeps dispensation in Colossians 1:25, but he changes the other 3 to administration. Right there. Okay? And the 1582 Rheims New Testament, which I happen to have a pure copy of right here. There you can see it. This Jesuit Bible, created in 1582, has charge here in 1 Corinthians 9, verse 17, but in all 3 other places it lines up with the King James Bible. Well-established fact that even the Roman Catholics back in the 16th century were saying dispensation. Interesting, isn't it? But another interesting thing is that in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4, Darby actually adds the word dispensation. You read it in context, it doesn't really make any sense. But if you study dispensationalism, you know that our favorite verse to really prove dispensational teaching is 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. King James Bible says rightly dividing. Darby changed it to cutting in a straight line. I'll put the scripture up here for you to see. Cutting in a straight line. Why would the supposed father of dispensationalism, John Nelson Darby, why would he seek to change the King James Bible? The classic things that dispensationalists use to prove dispensational teaching, and yet Darby rewrites the Bible and changes those key passages. I think I smell a little skunk here, a little theological skunk. Okay, there's some real stinky things coming out of these influencers out there that are just, they've been given this script to say, John Nelson Darby and C.I. Scofield and John Nelson Darby and C.I. Scofield and dispensationalism and all this other stuff. The church has replaced Israel and all these other things. No, the fact of the matter is that dispensationalism was around a lot longer than John Nelson Darby, and John Nelson Darby in reality was actually a heretic. You can see that with this behind me here. I'm going to be coming out with a lot more proof, just absolutely destroying this whole movement, these papists that are out there. They're reading the little scripted lines that are, oh, John Nelson Darby and C.I. Scofield and all. I'm going to be destroying those guys with the Lord's help. And but don't let them shake your faith, because they're a bunch of liars. And you can tell them I said that.